Good morning, YouTube. Pardon me, I was just finishing my note cards for the day. I am Casey Neistat, and welcome to Live at Sundance. For the next hour, we're going to be talking to some Sundance filmmakers and show you what's happening here at the festival, from premieres and events to some behind-the-scenes stuff. Today you'll see highlights from yesterday's Free Fail conference, exploring failure's role in our craft of filmmaking. Now, Patrick, where's Patrick? Over here, thought it would be good to talk about failure a little bit today before we get into talking to some of our guests. And he gave me some questions to answer about failure. And then we tweeted, ask me questions about failure. So I'm going to field some of these Twitter questions. And if you have questions for me about failure, tweet #live, #Sundance. Is that right? Right. #live, #Sundance, and I'll try to field them. Now, our first question about failure could not be more appropriate for this morning, but it is, Casey, how often does equipment break or fail? The reason why that is a perfectly appropriate question for this morning is that our Live at Sundance show, which starts promptly at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, is now getting started at promptly 11:08 Mountain Time due to an equipment failure. So the answer to that question is often. Equipment fails often. And me personally, because so much of my work is running around and spontaneously captured, I often choose equipment based on its failure rate. And I value that over things like quality and almost everything else. I would always rather have a camera that turns on and a camera that works than a camera that takes a better picture but might be a risk. Okay, next question. Boring. Okay, here's a good one. How long was it until you started to feel accepted into the filmmaking world? Okay, the question is how long until I personally felt accepted into the filmmaking world? It's a good question because I still don't feel accepted into the filmmaking world, and that's largely because, like, despite having made a couple big movies, one of which premiered here in Sundance, and doing some mainstream work, the only aspect of filmmaking that really gets me excited as a creator is making little movies for YouTube. And maybe it's my own insecurity, but I always feel a little bit stigmatized for being a YouTube filmmaker. And I don't know what the source of that is, and it's probably because YouTube and the internet, I think, sort of removes all elitism from filmmaking. And the entry point to be a filmmaker on YouTube is the same for me as it is for a 12-year-old kid who lives in the Midwest whose parents bought him an iPhone for Christmas. So be that as it may, I embrace the title YouTube filmmaker. And I've changed my bio on Twitter from Casey Neistat from the self-titled HBO series, The Neistat Brothers, to simply YouTube filmmaker. So how I feel accepted, I don't know. I don't feel accepted yet, but hopefully, like, these real filmmakers that we're going to be talking to today will make me feel warm and welcomed. Okay, next question. Was there ever a point you wanted to give up? How did you overcome it? This is a question I get asked a lot, especially from younger filmmakers. They email me and ask me online the question about giving up. And I think, like, with filmmaking, just like any other medium where there's no defined path, it's really easy to give up because there's no delineation to where the finish line is. You don't know what it is you're doing, what your objectives are. So it's easy to quit along the way. And my somewhat crass response to that is it's like quitting's for losers. So if you quit, you're definitely a loser. So don't quit so you're not a loser. I hope that makes sense. Okay, that's it for questions. We'll come back to more. Tweet more at me, Sundance and Live, so that we can take your questions on failure in filmmaking during today's show. I'll try to answer them here on the show. To continue the conversation, let's roll a short trailer featuring a failure panel from yesterday featuring Robert Redford, where they discussed using hardship and failure to find the way.
Some people, when they come on hardship, quit because it's insurmountable. The obstacles are too great, and they don't see any hope or any light on the other side, so they say, I've had it, that's it, and they quit. And others keep going, but for no other reason than that's all there is to do.
But it's essential to know that sometimes you need to forgive yourself, give up almost to find your way.
Exactly.
As a surgeon, I simply cannot think that the task is about me. I mean, I cannot fail that patient. That's sort of the goal. Yet I know in the aggregate, over many years of practice, I'm going to fail at some point.
It's important not to romanticize failure, especially when lives are at stake. I think the weight we carry with failure is important to recognize and to work with. I think if you don't find a way to carry that weight, you can find yourself defeated.
My work in terms of studying the neuroscience of creativity has really been all about understanding that we'll never answer. I know I'll never succeed. How can you possibly try to attempt to study the neuroscience of creativity and ever get to the end of it? It can't be done. So I don't even ever have that as a goal. I literally just want to know a little more tomorrow than I knew today. It's that simple.
There's this epigraph that starts a chapter where Michelangelo said, Lord, grant that I always desire more than I can accomplish. You know, that's what thriving is about. That's what striving is about. But I think success is often what someone confers on you. It's more an event. Someone now thinks you've made it, where internally you might think something else.
Welcome back. Hold on, ready? How do they do it in, like, who does that? Like, somebody does that, like Letterman does that, and it always flies right at the... Okay, welcome back. Now, it's fitting that we're broadcasting from the YouTube house in downtown Park City, as our next film, Dear White People, actually began as a viral YouTube trailer. It eventually drew enough crowdsourced funds and investor support to be made, and is definitely one of the most talked about films at this year's festival. Please welcome actress Tessa Thompson and writer-director Justin Simien. She made me say this. Take it away, Tessa.
Just so I could not take it away.
I didn't mean to throw you to the wolves like that. But.
No, it's good. I love wolves. So for people that haven't seen the concept trailer, and now it's like it's done. It's not on the internet anymore, right?
Yeah, that's great.
What is Dear White People about? And I still don't know.
Okay, well that's alarming and disturbing on a number of levels. But the film is basically about 4 black kids at a mostly white Ivy League college. The phrase Dear White People actually comes from a radio show that your character, Samantha White, starts, yeah, I know, it's all news for you, starts on the campus that causes a bunch of controversy. And it's just a sort of satire about what it means to be a black face in a white place.
Right.
Tessa?
And we were just, he's really good at social media, and we were just online looking through Twitter stuff, right?
Yeah.
And apparently an MLK themed party happened yesterday.
That's
or something.
Right. Yeah.
What was your what was the reason for you to want to explore these racially themed parties? And I feel like ever since I read the script, it's that thing of like once you start driving a car, you see them all over the place.
I know, it's crazy.
And once I read the script, everybody had racially themed parties constantly. So what was interesting to you about that?
Well, what was really interesting to me is to talk about, you know, this thing about like your black identity versus who you are. And I think as like black people who move through the world and kind of move through, you know, groups of black people and groups of white people, I kind of felt this pressure of constantly having to like modulate my blackness, you know what I mean? And kind of like turn it up a little bit for these people and turn it down a little bit for these people. And so for me, like the sort of blackface party where, you know, white kids kind of come dressed as these sort of black stereotypes, it was just like a really perfect way to kind of dramatize this sort of conflict between like black identity and who we really are as people. So,
Hey,
yeah.
Justin.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, you have pictures
okay.
of white kids partying.
Yeah.
Are those real?
They're real, man.
At the end of the movie, they're over the title sequence, right? It's pictures of white kids in blackface that look like college bros dressed up. But those are actual?
It's real. It's real. And like Tessa said, there was a news story this morning about a fraternity at a university that just did like an MLK party. Everyone had like watermelon cups. It's a hot mess, man. But that's how they decided to celebrate Martin Luther King Day. You know, this is like a real thing that's happening, and I think it really speaks to the fact that like kids are really trying to like have this weird like discussion about race, but they don't quite know how to do it, you know. And I think sometimes these kids think they're celebrating, but it doesn't come across that way to.
Or that we live in a
people.
space where we really maybe feel as millennials.
Yeah.
That we.
Look at
I
you.
learned that word from him last night. I'm going to use it all day. That we feel like we actually live in a space where we are post-racial. That we can send it up because we're like above it. You know.
Yeah. But it ends up hurting people because that's not who we are. It's not what we represent. I have a question for you, Tessa.
You do? What is it?
I would say one of my most favorite things about being at Sundance this year is walking through the streets and seeing audiences like react to seeing you. And it's been really cool to have such a, I've gone through the Q&As and I've had the experience of getting the reaction of the film firsthand. How's it been for you, sort of like being noticed everywhere you go in Park City?
I don't know. I think it's been really cool because I feel like beyond just like you do something and hopefully you're proud of it and hopefully people like it and you get to have an exchange with them, which is nice. But in this case, I sort of feel like playing Sam White, playing any of these characters is to sort of play like action heroes or something. Like I just imagine having little figurines or something. I think that they're such like incredible, layered, cool people that people can get behind. So if a girl screams to me like, hey, it means that she followed Sam White's journey, that she went through that space with her. And particularly if it's like a girl in a Miley Cyrus t-shirt, with her like bedazzled iPhone, it means to me that the film is more universal than just a piece about race, or a piece that someone of only a certain race can enjoy and get behind,
Sure. Yeah.
What's it been like for you being here?
Oh man, it's been crazy. I haven't even really started to process the feelings and emotions, but it's been, what's been cool for me is I've worked really hard on the film. The YouTube trailer that we did a year and a half ago was really just like, Act 7 in the journey. I mean, the script started a long time ago, the process. So to finally finish the film, to be here at Sundance, and for it to be received so warmly by all kinds of people, races, age, gender, it's just been a really crazy, amazingly validating experience.
And you met Bob Redford, right?
I did. I snapped my photo with him.
Did you modulate your blackness when you met him?
I got real black when I met him, like extremely black.
Justin, I'm coming over. Coming over, guys.
Come over, guys.
I'm sitting on the couch.
Come on, Case. Join us. Oh, okay. All right. This is what this is gonna be.
We only have a minute left. I have a question because this is YouTube. And so many people ask, how do you get a movie made?
Sure.
And I think your path to getting this movie made is really representational of maybe part of the future of getting movies made, in that you made a trailer with the resources you had, which I assume were pretty minimal. And then it was the creativity, it was your artistic, everything that you put into that piece to represent what you wanted to do that ultimately inspired this movie getting made.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that a little bit? What was that process like?
To me, it was like, I'm making this movie by hook or by crook, Like, if I don't have the money, I will put my tax return and make a little piece on YouTube, and we're just gonna keep going until it gets made. And, I think for me, like, I just wasn't really willing to settle for not making the movie. And we had a script that we all believed in. At our table reads and workshops, it was sparking this amazing dialogue. So I was like, you know what? Let's do something. Let's make it great, put it on YouTube, and see what happens. And,
You know what, Justin?
Yeah.
Something that is said a lot by you or by Lena, our producer, Lena Waite, is that we're not just making a movie, we're starting a movement. And sometimes it just sounds like good marketing, maybe, but I believe it. I feel that way.
Thanks,
I feel a part of something.
oh, yeah, teamwork.
I'm so jealous of that high five. Guys, we're out of time.
Cool.
Thanks for coming
It's been
by.
great being here, man.
This is a good talk. We should have had like 25 minutes.
We
and
should
cut
have.
all the stupid questions I answered earlier out.
take
So
us
we
back.
should have talked
And you
more.
and I are starting a movement too.
We are.
Mustard Pants.
Starting.
Yes.
Well, you weren't here yesterday. I know we're going over. This is really important. You weren't here yesterday,
Mustard
but I
Pants
had my
are
black
extremely
pants on,
Yeah.
like Justin. But I had blown out the whole crotch.
Wow.
Which I thought would be cool
So you
because
were
I had
just giving
long
the
johns underneath
world-
it, and like that's
okay.
fine.
Right.
That's totally
But it
fine.
turns out it really dominated the image.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, sorry.
I'm gonna steal that.
Guys, thanks again for coming. Good luck with your film.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
not so sure you need it. I saw it. You're
All right.
fine.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, while the Sundance Institute focuses a ton on the independent filmmaker, it also puts a premium on independent producing. In my opinion, the most thankless job in independent filmmaking is being an independent producer. Let's watch a clip talking about the Sundance Institute's support of people behind the scenes, the producers.
Producers is one of my favorites at the festival because I feel like the work you guys do in the community that we're all part of here at Sundance of independent producers specifically is fantastic.
Our commitment to supporting producers is long-term, it's in-depth, and it's continuing to evolve as we face a changing landscape, a challenging landscape, but a landscape in which there are also many opportunities, which is exciting. And I think everything that we do really is about community. It's about bringing together people with common interests and with a love and passion for storytelling.
Looking around this room, I see many colleagues whom I deeply admire for the risks you took along the way to get here. For the stories you advocated, the first-time directors you championed, the unknown actor you gave a leading role to, the amount of money you were able to raise for a project that seemed completely obscure. You have all gambled, and sometimes very successfully. We never know which movies are going to be pushed into production, which ones will resonate with an audience, and which creative partnerships will be lasting. One last thing I would like to mention is that in Sundance, we have an institution dedicated to enhancing and supporting the risky profession we love. Sundance has a way of making you feel valued by rewarding the risks that you take every day as an independent producer. So congratulations on all the risks that you took that got you here today. Our business wouldn't thrive without them, so let's keep on taking them.
Hey, welcome back. For those of you just joining us, you're late. But welcome to Live at Sundance. I'm Casey Neistat, and you can ask me or any of my guests questions by using the hashtags Sundance and Live. The main subject that we're exploring today and the theme of the festival as of for yesterday is about failure. And I've taken a couple questions, but I'm going to take a couple more on filmmaking and failure right now. These questions were from Twitter. I'm not sure who they're from. Okay, here's a big one. Do you ever drop projects halfway through? And I think that's an interesting question because I really think there's an art to failing. And we touched on this yesterday, but I think the art of failing is knowing what to share and what not to share. So I have projects that I've fully realized, finished, did all the work, had a completed project, but it just sucked. It was a total piece of crap, and that to me was a failure. And I never released it. So despite completing it, despite doing the hard part, it was ultimately a failure. And then at the same time, I have other works that, like I shot this amazing movie in Afghanistan, where I was literally in the war zone of Afghanistan, doing like something that we shouldn't have been doing. We built a tattoo parlor in the middle of the war zone in Afghanistan, true story. And we made a movie about this, and this is 2 years ago. And I'm still not happy with the edit, and that movie still hasn't been released. I'm embarrassed to talk about it because it's not done, but I don't consider that a failure, and I won't. I'll just keep persevering until it's done and until it's awesome. Okay. Really excited about our next guest, and as a host, it's very important for me to maintain a level of impartiality when it comes to my opinions of films. So, speaking objectively, this is like the greatest movie ever made. I saw it yesterday, and it like blew my mind. Can I swear on here? Is this? Yes. I can swear. It blew my fucking mind. Like this movie embodied everything that I love about filmmaking. There was like magic, there was wonderment, but it was like entirely believable. And had I not sat in for the Q&A, which Mike, I probably should have left for the Q&A, you could convince me that the movie.
All right, here's like $20. How much was that going to cost? I think that cost
Michael
like
Cahill,
$40.
the writer and director of I Origins. I don't even need you for this segment. I can just keep going until our time is up, talking about the virtues of your movie.
I'm going to give you a hug, man. That was awesome.
But really, not bullshitting. Unbelievable movie. I saw your first movie, Another Earth. Great, loved it. Very excited to go see the movie yesterday, but I have to say, any and all expectations were blown, and those aren't. And I'll shut the fuck up very quickly so we can talk.
Okay, keep going.
Those expectations are not like film festival expectations, but had I paid $20 to see that in IMAX, it still would have been the best movie I saw all year. Everybody I've been talking to in the street, I've been saying this to. Congrats. Okay, now,
Thank you.
Mike, tell everybody what your movie's about.
The movie, oh my gosh.
I know.
Can I just hold on?
You have
for a
like
second?
30 seconds because I just ate up our entire segment.
Thank you, Casey, so much. That means the world to me. I really admire you, dude, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, I mean it all.
For those who don't know, the movie is called I Origins. It stars Michael Pitt, Britt Marling, and this wonderful French actress, Astrid Burgess-Frisbee. Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead's in it, and Archie Punjabi from The Good Wife is in it as well. The movie is about a scientist who studies the eyes. And everybody's eyes are unique. They're these beautiful, if you've ever seen a super close-up photograph of an eye, it's one of the most beautiful things. It looks like a universe. And this scientist, while studying the eyes, you see his work in the lab, and you see his romantic life, which is sexy, passionate, wild, full of love and romance and complicated romance. He discovers something that will change the world, basically, if it's proved to be true.
And Michael Pitt's character in this movie plays a scientist,
Yes.
a biologist. And there's so much fact and jargon and esoteric scientist dialogue taking place in this movie that me as a layman, I really hook, line, and sinker believed everything that was said and all the information that was presented, and it was presented in such a exhaustive way. And I heard you answer this question yesterday, but it's why I asked you again. How and where did you get all that data? How were you able to write something that specific?
Well, the people who I admire most in the world are scientists. My favorite artists are scientists. I think the pursuit of science is one of the most noble things to do because scientists are constantly questioning why we're here. They're anti-numb. They want answers and as an overall look at the field. And so I was really fortunate, my family's made up of a lot of scientists. My two older brothers are scientists, and we were invited into molecular biology labs to actually see what real scientists do. And so the movie is flawless in terms of, hopefully flawless, or bulletproof in terms of its scientific truth. But also, it shouldn't be something that's off-putting because underneath the words is where the real dynamic and meaning comes from. So even if they say Pack 6, background, whatever.
Come on, you got more than that.
Yeah, I know.
You're.
Is this on the background of Pack 6 overexpression?
Right.
That's
what?
It's the sexiest line when you see it in the movie.
No, and that much is true. I had no idea what the science was that they were talking about, but never was that an issue.
Were you able to follow it, you think?
No question.
Really?
And in fact, this isn't going to make any sense to you at home, but I care. The dude at the end who asked a question about the elevator scene, who was like, I didn't understand that.
Right.
I wanted to stand up and punch the guy. So I was like, of course, they needed a reason to take the stairs. It was the most perfect device ever.
Certainly.
And you had to put him in the elevator with the preacher who was fuck, I want to hear this guy again, tell me I need to pay more attention to God when I spent my entire life disproving this. So it was the glance at him where he had the iconic hat on. There was no question it was the preacher. It was the most perfect device. I was yeah, when I got that.
It's interesting when you talking about failure, which is really something I find awesome. I love to fail, and I failed so many times in life. And I think when you with this film, we were trying things that I didn't know if they were going to work. You try. There are certain techniques and aesthetic choices and subtle things in the actual craftsmanship that we're not copying anybody. We're trying to forge our own double vertigo shots, visual deja vu, certain things that theoretically in my mind I think might work, but they could totally not work. And I think being unafraid of failure is so important just to all the filmmakers out there.
How many takes for the shot where Michael Pitt gets off the bus and sees the eyes?
I think 22 takes. But we did that, actually. We did that with this thing called you can Google it, it's Techno Dolly. technocrane, robotic head technocrane. And basically it's this massive robot that you program all the keyframes. So anyone who's familiar with Final Cut Pro or After Effects, you know the keyframes and the color correction or the different, you know how to keyframe something? Well, this is a big machine you can keyframe and set up. This is where, you know, the first part of the shot's gonna be, the second shot of the third, or moment within a single shot. And then you actually sit back and just press play, and this giant robot flies around and does your shot perfectly over and over again. So even though it took many takes, we only changed it for performance and extras and all the thing and the chaos that was going on in that, but not because the shot was faltering.
The shot blew me away. The third act, almost in its entirety, was shot in India. What was that like versus, I mean, you shot Brooklyn, some Manhattan, a little bit of the Manhattan Bridge, which is my favorite and most underrated bridge in all of New York City.
You see Inside Llewyn Davis?
Yes.
It's like you're supposed to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge.
No, come on. You did the right thing. What was it like going from shooting in New York City, maybe one of the most friendly shooting environments out there, to shooting in the middle of India?
It was amazing. We had such a great team in India. Like they have, obviously, India's, for those who don't know, India's film community is larger, and per box office and everything is larger. Their industry is bigger than the U.S. Bollywood completely tops the U.S. Per year, and so they have a really wonderful infrastructure there to make films and cinema. And we had a really amazing team of on-the-ground people there helping us. Our Steadicam operator in India is in the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest Steadicam shot of all time. Nitin Rao, look him up. He's really amazing. He had to do some steady. I was like, Nitin, can you do a Steadicam shot where you have to walk backwards down the stairs, and then out through the door? And he's like, yes, no problem.
Right.
And that's
no, this is the man in the Guinness Book for the steadiest cam shot.
For the longest steady, that's like so steady.
Ever.
Yeah, like
so steady.
He and I now are going steady.
Yeah, no, so much steady. Okay, we're out of time, but like I'm pretty sure if we just keep going, they're just gonna keep rolling.
Okay.
So
how are you doing?
Look, I'm great, man. I'm great. We'll kill it there. Thank you, Mike, for making this movie.
Thank you.
Oh, congrats. You sold it yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Fox Searchlight. Big deal.
I'm so excited about that. Huge deal.
Mazel tov.
Toda.
That's Jewish for congratulations.
That was Jewish for thank you.
Yeah. Bavakasha.
Bavakasha.
Okay, let's throw it to a quick clip from the premiere of To Be Takei, a documentary that follows former Star Trek actor George Takei. I thought it was Takei for my entire life, but apparently this movie addresses that it's Takei, not Takei. Anyways, let's throw it to a documentary about both his career and personal life. Who wrote this? Beam us up? Okay, cut to the...
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Thrilling and amazing and a huge honor to be here premiering this film at Sundance.
Well, I can't tell you all what a heady experience this is, to share our lives with all of you and hear the laughter and the applause.
Was really thrilled and intrigued when George came out in 2005 and started becoming such an eloquent, quick-witted activist on behalf of the LGBT community.
And it was a pleasure to work on something where two people, or two main characters, are so giving of themselves and so open to the camera.
This is another famous George gesture. He does this all the time. He does it first thing in the morning when he hops out of bed.
We decided we didn't want what could be accused of us getting a vanity picture done. You know, actors love to have their stories told, and it's always suspect. So we said, we want this film to be your film. We will happily be your subjects. It was a pretty bold and risky move, but we took that chance. I have always believed in boldly going where we have never gone.
Welcome back. I'm now going to hand it off to an old friend of mine, Chris Horton, from Sundance Institute's Artist Services, a group that works to help filmmakers get their work seen. He's joined by writer-director Gillian Robespierre. Robespierre. Did I say that right? Robespierre. Yeah. I said it right. Okay. Robespierre, as well as actress and other friend of mine, Jenny Slate, from the movie Obvious Child.
Great. Gillian, Jenny,
Hi.
we're so excited to have you guys here at Sundance. Tell us about your experience thus far.
Horrible.
We're on day what, 5, 6, 40? I don't know.
It? What state are we in?
We're in the Beehive state.
We've loved it. We were having the best time, the best time.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
When was your premiere?
Thursday, and I lost my voice Friday, and now it's coming back slowly, but it's a little husky party voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the altitude kind of makes that a little bit different too.
I like it though, because normally I sound very high-pitched.
I know. You know, it's got like a sexy kind of cadence and sound to it, but all of us here at Sundance.
Well, we're done now.
Okay, see you guys later. So tell us about the premiere. What was it like screening the film for an audience for the first time?
It was great. All the jokes landed exactly how I imagined, and even better than I imagined. And I was a little bit shaky, and once we heard the first laugh, I was eating popcorn and laughing along with everyone else.
That's great. So why don't you tell the folks watching at home a little bit about the film? I'm sure you get asked that a lot.
No.
No? Never?
And I don't have an answer. It's a comedy about stand-up comedian played by Jenny Slate, who gets dumped, fired, and pregnant just in time for Valentine's Day. It's a comedy. Yeah.
And how was it received? You know, I have seen the film, which is wonderful. And just for those watching at home, it was just announced that A24, the distributor who released Spectacular Now and Spring Breakers, just acquired it. So that's amazing.
Thank you. And Bling Ring.
And Bling Ring, yes. But you know, there's some seemingly controversial elements to it, or so it's been written. You know, what was it like in terms of the audience reaction? Were there interesting questions in the Q&A? How did you get a sense that people were responding to the film?
The best questions that we received were in Salt Lake City, actually, from the real audience. Not that the audiences aren't real in Park City, but just really interesting questions about why we chose to have the main character go through with the procedure. Why we wanted to make a romantic comedy. I mean, it was just wonderful. Questions. I can't remember any of the other ones.
Well, what I think is interesting is like that people tend to latch on to the the abortion part of the film, but really after people watch the film, they tend to have questions more about sort of like the general human experience, which is also what the film is really focused on. It's like just this general time in this woman's life. It's been really nice. People's curiosity is really encouraging.
Yeah.
That's great.
I have a question.
Yeah, Casey.
Jenny.
Yes.
Okay. Besides the getting dumped, not having a job, getting pregnant, part of Donna, the character, how close would you say like Donna's personality is to your actual personality?
It's weird. I don't think she's very close to. I think we have similar elements. I tend to be pretty high energy, and Donna has high energy and delights in things, even when she's like going through some harder times. And I'm pretty sensitive, just as Donna is. But I'm also older than Donna, and I think I was just a bit more active, and Donna is rather passive at that point in her life. But we have the same sense of humor.
And how'd you guys get together on this project?
Well, we met in 2009. I was looking for somebody to play the role of Donna in the short, but I was having a hard time, so instead of doing any work, I went to go see some stand-up in Brooklyn at a show called Big Terrific, where she co-hosted at the time, where Jenny was a co-host with Gabe Liedman, who's also in the movie. He plays her best friend Joey, and Max Silvestri. And I was with my best friend Anna, who co-created the short with me, and Karen Main. And we were getting drunk and watching some free comedy, and Jenny came on.
I was getting drunk and doing the comedy.
Yeah. And within 2 seconds of her opening bit, it was about I think dry humping furniture
Probably.
as a child.
Now I close with that. Literally, now I do close with that dry humping bit.
It's just so relatable, you know.
It's a true story.
Let's
Gotta
make
get
that a
that
hashtag.
Yeah. Dry humping is relatable. So immediately I was like, that's Donna. You know, we knew.
Yeah.
She was
That's
lewd, crude, and had so much heart too.
That's half of the description of Raphael from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think Raphael is cool but crude, and Michelangelo is a party dude. Is that what you guys all wanted to know?
Yeah, I think that we could probably do the whole opening intro to
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
if we had enough time.
And there were some pizzas getting delivered. Is that Donatello who really liked the pizza?
They all love pizza, and they don't like anchovies, and they love to party. And they're named after famous artists. This is an interview about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And Gillian, you did a Kickstarter campaign right before coming to Sundance.
Yeah.
We only have about 30 seconds left, but tell us about that.
It was amazing. It was wonderful. I thought I was going to have a panic attack because we overlapped the campaign with prepping for Sundance, and that's a lot of work.
Well, thanks to that, we're here.
But you did it. You made the goal.
We did it. We made our goal.
Yeah.
And a little bit of
2 rounds of applause.
All right, ladies. Well, we will see each other on the slopes, and
we're going to go to a movie.
yeah,
We're gonna go see a movie.
I'm gonna drive you guys there, right?
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, better.
All right, gang. Thanks so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris, Gillian, Jenny, and all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for that amazing segment. And congrats, I mean, all around, that's great. Really great. Next up, our team captured a panel of well-known actors and filmmakers as they talk candidly about failure, describing how fear and desperation can be harnessed for good during the filmmaking process.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of fear and desperation in making art. It's got a bad rap when you go to therapy, but I'm, the best stuff I have made, and it's just my DNA for whatever reason, is when I have that little anxiety and my heart's about 25 beats a little heavier.
I remember right when I first started acting, I almost got fired. I was like completely taken down. I couldn't believe it. I really learned a lot from that.
Every once in a while, as they said, you're just scared to death beyond the normal fear. It's a good place to be. Everyone here's been in a play. We're just as scared as you were when you were in a play. It's you live with the fear.
And it gets you high.
It gets you high.
I have other things that can do that for you, by the way, if you like.
For those of you just tuning in to our broadcast, is it still a broadcast even though we're streaming over the internet? Yes, right? We're not broadcasting it through the... I'm filmmaker Casey Neistat, and this is Live at Sundance. We're broadcasting live from the festival right through the closing ceremonies this Saturday, bringing you some of the most talented filmmakers at the festival. If you have any questions for me or any of the guests, use the hashtag Sundance and Live, and we will try to answer them during our broadcast. Let's continue the show by talking to the cast members of A Girl Walks Home at Night. Sheila Vand, Arash... Did I fuck it up? What did I say?
A girl walks home alone at night.
What did I say? Oh, I said the word alone in there?
You forgot the alone.
I forgot.
It's very important. The alone is very important.
It doesn't say alone up there.
I know.
See, we have a teleprompter. I said I don't like the teleprompter. It's mistyped on the teleprompter. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Fantastic movie. We're joined by Sheila Vand, Arash Morandi, and Dominic Rains. Guys, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. Sorry about butchering the name of your movie.
How dare you?
How dare I?
Good thing Lily was in here.
Okay, so I want to start by just prefacing what this movie is. And what this movie is, I shit you not, is, I had to write it down, Iranian Western vampire flick?
Yep.
That nails it, right?
Nails it, in black and white.
A noir. Iranian cow Western vampire flick that's in Farsi.
Uh-huh. You got it.
So,
that said it all right there.
Thanks for coming by, guys. Coming up next. No, so I guess as I was watching this, I mean, it's an all-around terrific film, and it's great. My biggest question was, does the audience that hopefully will receive this movie get movies like this made for them? Meaning, I don't know. I've never seen a movie in Farsi before. I don't know what kind of movies are typically made in Farsi and who receives movies like that. Does this fit into that? Does this?
Well, it's the first Iranian vampire western.
Clearly.
So, I think it's the first of its kind.
I think
it's not
so.
your typical Iranian film.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like it's more just set in Iran than about Iran.
Exactly. It's an homage also to those pre-revolutionary black and white films of the 60s. It has elements of that.
And who do you think? Do you see a big Iranian audience for this movie?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I think just as much as like any other audience, like it's such a mashup of genres and cultures.
Yeah.
It's kind of a reflection of where
It was
we all
never-
come from, and
I don't think it was ever designed for one specific group. I think it's
yeah,
open to the masses of all walks in life.
yeah, it's sort of like is a David Lynch film for Americans, like some of them.
Right. Sure.
I think it's more for.
And ostensibly, the movie takes place in what is like a weirdo Iranian junkie ghost town.
Yeah.
Where did you guys actually shoot it?
We shot it in Taft, California. It's like a dilapidated,
Oil
economically
town.
depressed ghost town.
So it hits on some of
Yeah.
those.
Huh?
It hits on some of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels otherworldly there.
Yeah.
Could this have been made in Iran?
No.
Could
Not officially.
Could it have been made?
In
Could
theory?
this been produced? Theoretically, could you make a
if
movie
you were to
like
take
this?
away the political climate, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's some desolate towns like that there, but I don't know. I think this is such an American film that I think to have it here, have it shot here in the States, in where we shot it, was necessary to have it turn out the way it did.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't have done it there, certainly like on any radar at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
I think a lot of us
can't go
back there. So,
Really?
yeah.
Because of this movie.
And some films in the past that we've done.
Yeah.
I mean that. As an American filmmaker, that idea is so polarizing to even try to consider something like that.
Yeah. It's intense.
It's intense. It's intense. That said, this movie is not. This couldn't be more. This couldn't be less political. This movie. Right?
We're
Is this a
so
fair
glad
assessment?
you feel that way because everybody just wants to politicize Iranian art and make it into a statement when it's not necessarily.
And I apologize for falling into that stereotype.
No.
I mean, look, seeing a movie in Farsi, I mean, would you see the word Iran associated with it in any capacity, being an American and what we as Americans are supposed to feel and supposed to know about a country like Iran? Like, it's hard to, me, I think I'm a pretty well-read guy. It's still hard to kind of overcome something like that.
Yeah.
That said, I mean, me looking at a movie like this, I think that could be something to sort of fuel interest in a movie that's otherwise unrelated. I mean, even though it's a Western vampire noir movie in Farsi, I think the movie could be about just about anything, but the fact that it's in Farsi and because it is an Iranian, so much of it is rooted in that. I think that people are really interested in that.
That's cool.
What I'm trying to do is apologize.
No, I was just.
Not for me
Yeah,
personally, but just
no.
the fact that so much of the conversation is dominated.
Well, no, I mean, it's. I feel like you can't say or do anything without it being political. Like everything is.
Absolutely.
Has some. If you have an opinion on something, then it's political, right? I mean.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the movie. Let's stop talking about politics. We have at least 5 seconds left. How's your time here been? How's the audience's response at Sundance? How have people been responding to? How's the whole experience?
It's been an incredible experience. I think we were all excited just to see the film and just to sharing it together, and it was received
Super
very
magical,
well.
yeah, just really exciting.
Had you seen a cut
No.
No.
First time here.
And was the first time with an audience?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as a creator, like I empathize with that, because when you're in the thick of making it, the idea, the concerns, like you couldn't be more distanced from what it is sitting in a theater, seeing it up there, and then feeling it with an audience. But having that gap in between production, and then when you see sort of the fruits of your labors and what your efforts and energies actually manifest into.
It's kind of nice though, you like forget about it and then you can just like watch it and enjoy it and experience it instead of being like so close where.
Have you guys ever done a black and white movie before? Been in a black and white movie?
No.
Okay, easier?
And so far.
No.
Less makeup?
Oh, black and white?
Yeah.
Well, I just have to sit in makeup because I have to get all that stuff.
This is awesome. Tattoos situation, facial spirals. It's awesome. I was really hoping you'd come in costume today. Yeah.
Right. Halloween costume.
Yeah, it's such a good look. You just have to own that forever.
Yeah, it's an ode to Lily.
But in any event, congrats on the movie.
Thank you.
Very exciting to see. I hope that it paves the way for more work along these lines, and I think that it's eventually, hopefully, with enough of this stuff being made, we can get past the political conversation and just talk about your facial hair. But thanks for coming by, guys. Congrats on the movie.
By the way, I watched your video for what you did with the money for the trailer.
Oh yeah.
For the supplies to the Philippines, and that was beautiful. Very
Thank
inspiring.
you.
Very
Thank you.
inspiring. Yeah. Thank you.
We pay our guests a little money when they come in to always end the segment talking about my movies. So thank you for that. The check's in the mail. Okay. Earlier this week, Live at Sundance learned about the film 52 Tuesdays, a movie shot every Tuesday for a year straight by the director Sophie Hyde. Sounds crazy, but the film Boyhood was shot over the span of 12 years by your favorite filmmaker and mine, Richard Linklater. Let's take a look at the Boyhood premiere.
I can't think of a better audience for this particular film than Sundance, so I'm really glad, we were able to show it here first.
Every other movie I've ever made in my life is like something else. This is like nothing else.
4,207 days ago, we started shooting this film, and we're really happy to be here. We just invite you to come aboard with us.
One of my castmates is my friend Richard Linklater's daughter, so I've known her for a long time. I held her in my arms when she was like a little baby. And Eller, I did my first scene with him. He was a 7-year-old boy, and I was 32. We did our last scene, and I'm 43, and he's 19.
It's amazing, so fun to work with all these people every year, and so great.
Was it like a vacation every year or something like that?
It was like going home to your family.
I remember about year 3, Lorelai came to me and asked me, can my character, die? So I don't have to do this anymore. And then it is cruel to hold a 9-year-old to a 12-year contract, which doesn't exist, by the way. Like Lorelai and Eller, they're kind of like brother and sister. Ethan and Patricia are like their co-parents. I feel like I'm an uncle. Every year it was like camp. It was like summer, the team getting back together. And I had crew members who would come, maybe they quit doing that job like location scouting, they're producing, but they would come back. People would fly across the country to work those 3 days.
All his films, the dialogue is incredibly naturalistic. And it's because he welcomes the actors into the process, and it's a process of finding your character with him. And a lot of filmmakers aren't really interested in a lot of the things that interest Rick. They're not interested in a scene that opens with somebody walking downstairs in the morning and it's their mother telling them who went to the bathroom in the toilet. It's like, I don't know why I picked that as an example, but that's one of the things that I think makes him so much fun to work with as an actor, is he values that.
Every shoot, even a 3-day shoot, when you hear this is the martini, the last shot, it's always kind of, but to hear that after this long a time, it was, you can speak to that. I mean, what was that like? out in Big Bend shooting the very last scene. It was pretty intense, man.
Bittersweet for everyone on the crew. I mean, it's something that coming into it, I kind of was feeling inside of myself, just this great kind of relief and sadness at the same time. And when it came to the end, I kind of discovered that every single person on the crew felt the same way, and it was incredible. I mean, it's something that we all shared together, and the last moment was difficult.
Oh, it's so much about my relationship to my own kids and my relationship to my own dad. I wanted to give a really true and honest portrait of a loving father.
I think that's it, but I think you guys made cinema history tonight.
Thank you.
My final guests of today's show were all part of the film Land Ho, a comedy about two men that travel to Iceland following retirement. I'm joined by co-writers and co-directors Martha Stevens and Aaron Katz, as well as actors Paul Einhorn and Earl Lynn Nelson. Welcome, guys. Did I fuck up any of your names? No, I did it right.
It's all right.
Good enough.
It's good enough.
Not just good.
I'm going to change
Good
my
enough.
name to make
You could just
guys
make it
feel
Einhorn.
Okay.
It's Einhorn.
Einhorn.
Yeah,
There's a lot of E's in there.
That's all right.
Yeah, a lot of E's.
My last name is N-E-I. Everybody says Neistat.
Yeah, I know.
That's Neistat.
I get royalties twice now.
Do you? Okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats on the film.
Thank you.
And I want to lead off a little bit by letting the audience know sort of what this film is. You want to, Aaron, encapsulate a little bit of what this movie is?
Well, Martha and I wrote and directed this movie together because Martha got in touch with me about a year ago and said, what if we made a movie together? We'd made our movies separately. We'd gone to school together and made our own movies. And yeah, her proposal was, what if we took Earl Lynn here to Iceland? And then right about that same time, we saw a great film called This Is Martin Bonner that played here last year. Our friend Chad Hardigan made that film. And Paul was the star of that film, and we just loved Paul. And we thought that they would be a perfect balance for each other, and we actually wrote the script with them in mind. We had them cast before a word of the script was written.
What was the sort of catalyst for let's go to Iceland, beyond the fact that it's the prettiest place in the world?
Isn't that enough?
I guess
Prettiest
so.
place in the world.
I guess so.
I mean, the part of the comedy is there's an odd couple here, so why not make the whole movie sort of these opposing forces and opposites? So we have like toilet humor and juvenile jokes set against this very mysterious, moody, beautiful landscape. And it's just fun. Plus, there's not a lot of independent films going to Iceland and actually using Iceland as Iceland. It's mostly like
as a backdrop,
sci-fi or something that looks like another planet or whatever. So why not? So
Iceland almost played a character in the movie.
Sure. Yeah.
How much of the movie was scripted? How much of it did you memorize? Because watching it...
Question again.
This comes up a lot?
Yes, sir.
Because watching
Number
it...
one question.
If you shake the camera a little bit more, I might believe it's a documentary. And I think that speaks volumes to your acting abilities. I hope you take that as a compliment. But it was just so natural. The performances were so natural. The conversation, dialogue was so natural. How much of that... Who gets credit for that?
I mean, we're pretty good writers.
You guys are pretty awesome.
Pretty good writers.
Yeah, a lot of it was scripted. We had a script that would read like a regular, normal length movie script. But of course we wrote with these guys in mind. And because of that, once they read it, they said, well, that's not what I would say sometimes. And so I would say about half of it is pretty close.
Very scripted. And then a quarter is pretty scripted, but little changes here and there, and then 25% is improvised.
There's a scene where they go visit the geyser, and there's a scene at the lighthouse, and scenes like that, especially where they're going to be interacting with something that we weren't exactly sure what was going to happen. There's also a scene at the art gallery that we didn't know what art would be up. So
they have a commentary about the art, so we didn't want to show them the art beforehand anyway, because we wanted their reactions to sort of be in the moment. So.
Was there any weed in the joint? Was there actual weed in the joint? Because you nailed Stoned.
I mean, he's had some.
Right. I mean, really convincing performance.
Yeah, we were smoking black tea.
Right. Well, that hurts.
Yes,
we were
it
asked
does.
that question last night, and I think the answer was everything you see on camera was tea.
Got it. Obviously, rehearsals, practice, method acting. I did want to ask, and in fairness, I already asked this question. I just want to ask again. You guys roll around Iceland in like the most obnoxious American Hummer ever. And I didn't know they had Hummers in Iceland.
We didn't either.
Right.
Yeah.
Aaron and I got the idea for the Hummer. We were actually researching people's travel journals online. A lot of photographers like to go to Iceland for a month and go around and take pictures of everything. And this French guy traveled around in a Hummer, and he was kind of embarrassed, but then he was like, I kind of like this Hummer. And we were like, that looks really funny. We should get them to have a Hummer. Like originally we really wanted a yellow Hummer. Those were really hard to find.
You have to paint it yourself.
So we have this black Hummer, and it's like we actually really grew to love this Hummer.
Yeah, I have a lot of
so
affection
much.
for that Hummer.
Now when I see a Hummer, I'm like,
I know the people inside are comfortable.
What's up? Right. And there's a lot of space between their elbows.
Yeah.
After we got finished with the Hummer, they put it in the scrap yard.
That's a sign of good production.
I mean, this thing, as comfortable as it was, we were always afraid it was going to fall apart because the roads are just so rough.
It rattled a lot.
Yeah, it rattled like hell.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, not to take this in that place, but I'm a pretty big gearhead, and those H2s are not built on a real chassis.
No.
They're not built like the proper Hummer's a real truck.
Yep.
Those
Sure.
things are just lunchboxes on wheels.
Yeah.
Casey, you want some trivia, Casey?
I'd love some trivia.
The number one repaired motor vehicles in Iceland is when the doors get ripped off by the wind if you open them the wrong way.
Is that right?
That's no kidding. They flap up. And it
Yeah.
happened to the Hummer, too.
Yep.
it happened when we were parked outside a rental car. And
You lost the door?
No, not that exact. I opened the door and I wasn't expecting the wind, and we dented another car. It was my fault.
And a couple of times the doors got hyperextended so that the springs didn't work.
Yeah.
It's bad news all around. That Hummer was a trooper.
You guys,
It was.
This is my fault, but we've spent like 40%
I know,
of our
yeah.
interview talking about not just Hummers, but Hummer door hinges.
Okay, fine.
We are out of time. I just wanted to ask one question, one last question, which was so much of the movie was the dichotomy of the two characters. Outgoing, boisterous, loud, juvenile versus like humble, almost sort of, almost withdrawn. And you know, how much of that, I mean, I'm seeing now that that's not at all who you guys seem to be. But
I don't know about that.
No?
If you ask my friends in Seattle, that guy, Colin, is not me. But we played it the way it was written by Martha and Aaron, and it was the withdrawn guy and the big guy, you know, and that worked. That's the way it had to work.
Yeah, no,
Berlin is a living party.
I get it.
I have a good time every day.
Yeah, man.
I mean, he made set so enjoyable for us because just good vibes always.
Well, guys, we're out of time. Here's to feeling good all the time.
Right.
Right?
Here's to feeling good.
Thanks for coming by. Congrats on the movie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we didn't get to talk about how well received it was here at Sundance, but everybody's speaking very highly of it, and just a huge congrats.
I've got to say one thing, please.
Say it.
My kids want to know if Robert Redford really liked our movie. I mean, I know we got asked.
Guys, did Robert Redford? Yes.
Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah, no,
I already talked to him about
I'm getting
it.
that he loved
Okay,
it.
just want to make sure.
Okay, so thanks for joining me on the show, everyone. And to close out today, I wanted to answer just one more question on the topic of failure. I don't really want to answer this question, but since there's like 10,000 questions that came in via Twitter, I guess I should answer one more. Here's a good one. What's the easiest place to fail in the filmmaking process? And this is kind of a general answer, but I think the easiest place to fail is the part before you start. It's like the analogy or the metaphor I always use is like running a race. I'm a big runner. And I always say the hardest part of running a race is not getting across the finish line, but showing up at the starting line. And I think when it comes to filmmaking, especially to young filmmakers, the easiest place to fail is never doing it, is having these great ideas or having this moment of inspiration and not seizing that and turning that into something. And that was a little bit whimsical and idealistic, but in any event, it is something that I believe in. Okay, that's all from Live at Sundance for today. Thank you to all of my guests, as well as the support of YouTube, Weber Shandwick, Canon, HP, and Adobe Creative Cloud. We'll be back at 11 a.m. Mountain Time tomorrow. We won't be late because we'll make sure all of our shit works. Tomorrow we have guests Rose McGowan and Danny Pudi. Until then, I'm Casey Neistat. And keep failing at film because it means you're trying. I didn't write that. I'll see you tomorrow.